Hi everyone, it's me, Mr. Movie Comic Lover, and I'm here to give you guys a brief history lesson of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before we delve too much into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is for all you movie fans out there that have only watched the Avengers movie. And if you have seen the Avengers movie, it's supposed to be a standalone movie where you don't have to watch every single film before it. But if you would want to understand it more, it would be good and wise to watch every single film before it. So, let's get to the basics of this huge phenomenon that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, first of all, how it all began. Back in the 80s, 90s, and early 80s and 90s, they made what was called the first ever comic book adaptations of movies. And this was the privilege of Warner Brothers Home Entertainment that made Superman and Batman, two of the biggest names in the comic history that made it to the big screen. After a while, their rival, Marvel Comics, decided if they can make movies, so can Marvel. So, what happens next? It didn't go exactly according to plan. So, what happened was, former president of Marvel Studios, Avi Arad, wanted to make some kind of connection to fans. And the first movie was made, Blade, the Vampire Hunter. And what happened? It was an amazing movie. It was really good. Although not for kids, of course. It started to understand that the Marvel comics were never really for kids. They were made for teenagers and adults. So when they saw Blade, it automatically sensed that they knew the material needed to make comic book versions into movies, known as comic book movies. And so what happened next? A very, very early Captain America movie was made, and it wasn't successful as a Captain America the First Avenger was. That was just a lot of critical reviews. It was mixed a lot. It didn't sell, and it just was, not found many all around the world. And this was not even depicted as a Marvel movie just yet. It was made, but it was outcasted from Marvel Studios itself. So what would they do next? What can they possibly do next to compete against other competitors? And well, they did something unprecedented. They made history. And that's how the X-Men came. The X-Men was the first biggest movie franchise of Marvel history. And I say this because it paved the way for many more superheroes to follow. It showed that any comic book character can be in a movie. And if done right, it can be a blockbuster hit. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Although all the movies were good, such as X-Men and X2, Mutants United, and X-Men 3, The Last Stand. The Last Stand was very, very lowly built down. It didn't grasp the characters, and the audience didn't feel that it was great. The ending was just weird, and it didn't seem tasteful. It didn't seem an epic ending. It seemed there was something missing, and it wasn't really viewed as one of the best. They could have done better. But X-Men, the first one, and X2, they were amazing. They paved the way for many more heroes to come. And the X-Men really did a fantastic job at that. What happens next? Where do they go next? Well, Avi Arad did something. Because he wanted to make profits for the different movies, he sold the rights to different companies. Because he owned the Marvel Studios, which is every single comic book character known to date at that time. And what happened was, because he was able to maintain every character and have money come from those studios but go to Marvel Studios still, or the Marvel Comics Studios, it was good for Avi Arad to expand this huge thing. The problem was that Fox now completely owned X-Men. And Avi Arad was approached from a different company, Sony, to make Spider-Man. And Avi Arad sold the rights to Sony to make a Spider-Man movie. And lo and behold, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was a huge success. The sidekick superhero that shows that you don't have, just because you're a teenager, doesn't mean you have to be a sidekick. It's your choices that make you who you are. And you can be as big as any superhero you want. And better. That's what Spider-Man showed us in Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. 3 franchises. Just amazing. So what happens next? Not only did they make Blade, but they also made Blade 2 and 3. Just to show that they can still hone their skills in the Marvel Studios. And other movies came from Fox, such as Fantastic Four and Daredevil, Elektra. And these movies came out good. Punisher. And then those movies were just shown that you can make movies. The Incredible Hulk was made by Universal Studios, and was poorly received. It wasn't what the fans wanted, and it just wasn't right. And that's how Marvel Studios became. It got to the point where every studio didn't know what to do with their characters. And, well, what happens next is an explosion of arguments through the company itself. They were all losing their grip. They didn't know what movies to do. They didn't know what arcs to do. Because other studios had the rights to other characters. So they were unable to do certain crossovers or anything really. It was really low for Marvel Studios. And although every movie was made from Marvel Studios, every movie was made by different companies, not the same company. And so, what happens? Where do we go from here? Well, Avi Arad met a lady named Mariel Lynch, who bought the rights for Marvel Studios itself for $525 million credit revenue revolving around it, and bought the rights back, and put President Kevin Feige in the seat as production manager, making sure that it's up to him to make this Marvel Studios. And well, that's how it all started, guys. And lo and behold, the Marvel Cinematic Universe began. I'm Mr. Movie Comic Lover, and this was a brief history lesson of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Check out my next video for S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show.